here to watch this, and I wasn't at home to do like a pre-recorded video, so I'm just gonna go live and talk about it really quick, then upload it. And if anyone wants to watch it, they can. I wanted to talk about the recent unfoldings, drama, news, whatever you want to call it, with Neve Campbell in regards to Scream 6. Obviously, we have found out that Neve Campbell is not going to be in Scream 6, and there were some rumors, some theories that she wasn't, and stuff like that. Well, it's confirmed, and the reason that was given was that she didn't, the offer they made her, she didn't feel like it was up to what she deserved. And I'm not even going to address that. That's completely up to her. She knows her worth. The studio should know her worth. She's the face of the franchise. So that's where we are right now. Now, what I really wanted to talk about for just a little bit is the fact that a lot of people are now putting out polls like, are you okay with a Scream movie without Sidney in it? Well, there are a lot of people who are okay with a Scream movie without Sidney in it. And I gotta be honest, I'm okay with it. Like, it's not my favorite. I would be okay with a Scream movie without Sidney. I think people are overlooking something. That's not what this situation is. It's not that they wrote a story that didn't have Sidney in it and that's what we're getting. That's not the case. They made her an offer. Neve Campbell got an offer, so obviously the story they wrote had Sidney in it. So it's not like we're getting this original story without Sidney. What we're getting is a story that was supposed to have Sidney. They didn't offer her enough, and she turned it down, so now they're having to adjust the story. Now, if you ask, like I said, I would be okay with a story, a Scream movie, if that was the intent. It's very obviously not their intent. The fact that they gave her a script, the fact that they made her an offer, shows that the intent was Campbell to have Sidney in the movie. And now it's not going to happen. So the story's going to suffer. Unless they had an alternate story in mind already, which I don't think they would have, because I'm pretty sure they don't control the offer that the studio is going to make to her. So I don't think they would plan for the main, the face of the franchise to not appear in the movie. So I think, as I said, I think a lot of people are just looking at it wrong. Like, sure, it's okay to have a Scream movie without Sidney if you intended to have a Scream movie without Sidney. It's not okay, in my opinion, for them to what's up, Fate? It's not okay, in my opinion, for them to write a story that has Sidney. We know they did that. The script very obviously included Sidney because they made her an offer. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't want her to be in the movie. So what's going to happen now, as I've already said, and like I said, this is fully a rant, because I see so many people saying, doing polls like, are you okay with a Scream without Sidney? And that shouldn't be the question. That's not what's going on. The question should be, are you okay with them lowballing Neve Campbell to a point where Sidney isn't going to be in the story? That's what's happening. It's not that they wrote a story that doesn't include her. It's not that they're giving her, riding off into the sunset happy ending. It's that they wrote a story with her in it and didn't want to give her enough money, so now they have to exclude her from the story. I don't know. I don't know if they wrote like I said, they may have wrote multiple scripts to include and exclude her. It's possible. If they did though, why would they start with the one that has her in it? Like, why wouldn't they just immediately go to the one that doesn't have her and save the money they were going to pay her in the first place? Because looking at it now, sure, they probably got a much bigger budget to spend on the movie, which is a good thing. But like, I've said this before, I want Sidney in every movie in some way. here's the thing. Here's my view of it. Every slasher movie has some constant, and I might have mentioned this before in some stream, but every slasher movie has a constant. And in most slashers, in fact, all the slashers I can think of off the top of my head, the constant is the killer. You have Freddy in every movie, always killing new people. You have Michael. You got Jason. You got Chucky, Leatherface, whoever. It's always the slasher, like the killer itself. That's the constant. In Scream, one of the ways that it's unique is the slasher isn't the constant. Yeah, it's always Ghostface, but Ghostface is always a different person. The constant we have is the final girl. We have the most badass final girl of any franchise, in my opinion. She just survives, and she's been in every movie. That is the constant. If you remove Sidney Prescott and Ghostface is someone completely different, in my opinion, you don't got a Scream movie at that point. What you have is a stab movie. And you know what? If they wanted to come out, that might be we've all been debating the title of Scream 6. Is it going to be Scream 6? Is it going to be Scream 2? What if it was Stab? Now that we don't have Sidney in it, just call it Stab. That would work for me. What's up, Steve? Talk about this because it's just been something. I'm just going to go live and talk about it. And I can't comment on the fact of, how much money she was offered. Is that a good, it'll still be a good movie without Sidney if it's a story without Sidney. As I said, it's clearly a just to take her out of because they didn't want to pay her enough money. That's completely different. If they came to the table with, saying, all right, Neve, we kind of gave you your ending. We don't want you to really be in this one. We want to focus on, the new cast moving forward. And that's the story they come up with. That's completely fine. Like, I would be okay with that. I still would want Sidney to be in it. But since they came out with a story that has Sidney in it, Sidney Prescott's very obviously supposed to be in it, and then she's essentially getting taken out of the story because they don't want to pay her enough money. And that's an awful reason for Sidney to not be in the next movie, in my opinion. Nations are gonna go down. I think we're gonna see a decline in box office for part 6. I know they're already gonna do a 7. I don't think there's any question whether or not we're gonna have a 7. Radio Silence is gonna do it. They've probably already got it planned. And the statement that Neve gave made me really worrisome about not just 6 but about 7, because I don't know, just it felt like she was really saying goodbye to Scream and to Sidney. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but it didn't feel like she was just saying, I'm not going to be in this one. It felt like she was saying goodbye to the franchise. I really, really hope that's not the case, because as you know, the rumor's been that Neve was only going to do a cameo, and maybe that's why they offered her so little, because it was only be a cameo. Maybe not. I don't know. But, the rumor was small cameo by Neve at the end of this one, end of 6, and then a much bigger story for Neve in 7. And I would have been okay with that. I think everyone would have. But if she's not going to be in 6, we're probably not going to have that cameo. It's not going to set up her coming back for 7. And it really felt like, to me, she was saying goodbye to the character. And that's really sad, because as much as I love the new characters, I want Sidney Prescott to be involved in some way. She doesn't have to have a huge part in the story, but she needs to be there, or else it's not Scream to me. You've lost your constant. Now you've got completely new characters in the movie, and if you've never had that in a slasher. You always have, and the original idea for Ghostface, anyone can be behind the mask. I agree with that. I really like that. But you gotta have a constant. Like, if they just came out and made, a new Leatherface or a new Texas Chainsaw and it didn't have Leatherface in it, you've lost your constant there. And what is it now? It's not a Texas Chainsaw movie. So I feel that way about Scream and Sidney Prescott. I don't believe that it's going to be as successful, and I'm worried, y'all. They're starting me off on a real sour note here with Part 6. I'm going up there in about 2 weeks, and who knows? Some of this could be complete lies. Like, I doubt it, but one of the thoughts I had initially was like, maybe they're saying they're not in it to increase the surprise, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Maybe they're saying like, yeah, I'm not going to be in it. Yeah, I'm definitely not in it. And then they are, and it's just going to be a little bit of a surprise to everyone. I doubt it, but that was one of the first places my head went. And sorry everyone who's in the comments. I do see comments scrolling through. I'm actually driving right now. I just really wanted to rant about this, so I can't really look at comments at the moment. Thank you so much for stopping in. I really didn't expect anyone to jump in. I just wanted to record it so it could go to playback and people could see it after. I'm really surprised that people jumped in. Thank you so much. I do agree, Ghostface Fanatic. I think they made a mistake. It would be like, I don't know, it'd be like offering, because she's the face of the franchise. As I said, she's the constant, and it's an awful way to get written out of a series because they didn't want to pay you enough. What if, like, they went to, Robert Englund, who was a constant in Freddy Krueger or in Nightmare on Elm Street, and didn't want to pay him enough, so they removed Freddy Krueger. Like, that's essentially what's happening here. Like, it's not the slasher, but it doesn't have to be. Ghostface doesn't make any money because, well, Ghostface can be anyone. It could be a no-name actor. So they're removing the face of a franchise because of money issues, which is what it comes down to me. They're not removing her because they want to move on from the story of Sidney Prescott. They're not removing her to focus more on their new cast members and the new people. They're removing her because the studio didn't want to pay her, and that is, well, to put it bluntly, that's just shitty. Like, that's awful. It's even if you're okay with a Scream that doesn't have Sidney Prescott, I don't think you should be okay with a Scream without Sidney Prescott because they didn't want to pay her. Like, that is awful. That's just ridiculous. That's a waste. And now don't even call it Scream 6. Call it Stab. And I'm okay with it. Like, if you say this is a Stab movie, I'd buy into it so hard. And you could do so much with that. Because now, yeah, you got Kirby. And I think it was confirmed by Jenna Ortega that we're going to have Courtney Cox. So we're going to have Gale. But you lost Dewey. And you lost Sydney. Like, I love Gale. She's not a face of a franchise. Breakoffs, you're damn right, subverting our expectations. We expected to have a good movie with at least a little Sidney Prescott. Oh man, this has been annoying me to no end. And like I said, I still have just a sliver of hope that this is all a big misdirect. That, like, they're only doing this so we expect for her to not be in it. And then she is in a cameo, because the cameo would work perfect in this movie. I understand wanting to develop your new characters, stuff like that. And, we do have a good amount of characters returning from previous movies. And there's still new people. I saw we have, not Dylan McDermott, Dermot Mulrooney. I always get those two confused because they have such ridiculous names. But we do have a lot of people to establish and to work with. So I was okay with just a cameo by Sydney. I was okay with that. But now removing her completely because you don't want to pay her, oh, that's so awful to me. That is, like I said, and for new people coming in, for the people who have been here from the beginning, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's really, really upsetting me that they clearly have a story that had Sidney Prescott in it, and they're either rewriting or adjusting that story to not have her in it simply because they don't want to pay her enough. So it's not like, oh man, I just arrived at my location here. Can I look at comments from here? Oh, I can. All chats are visible. Okay, yeah, I haven't watched any of that. I shot him 6 times. I do want to watch Jamie Kinney's videos. I love his YouTube channel. It might not be a hoax. That's just my last, I'm an optimist at heart, and that's my last sliver of hope, because while I do understand that there eventually will be a Scream movie without Neve Campbell, I'm not ready for that yet. Because I honestly don't think 5 was a good send-off for her. Like, I don't. They didn't do her enough justice in that movie. Exactly, Break Ops. If it was her saying, I've got other things, I can't do this, or if it was her saying, I want to bow out for now, like Jamie Lee Curtis wanting to sit out of some of the awful Halloween sequels, that's fine if that's the choice. What we have right now is clearly she wanted to be in it, but they didn't want to pay her, and clearly they wanted her to be in it, but they didn't want to pay her. And I'm not blaming Radio Silence. Obviously Radio Silence wanted her because they wrote a script to include her. I do understand it's fully on the studio, and I don't know if it is Spyglass or if it is, Paramount above them. I don't know who it is, but whoever it is making a mistake, because Radio Silence probably is just as disappointed, because they're more than filmmakers, they're film lovers, and they love the Scream franchise. It's very obvious that they love them. And I'm certain, like I said, they wrote a script that had her in it. They wouldn't do that if they didn't want her to be in it. Ghostface and if they make her a killer or something, or here's what I'm super worried about, because like I said, when I read her statement, it didn't sound like Neve was just saying, I'm not going to be in this one because of money. It sounded like she was saying goodbye to the franchise and to the character. And I really, really hope that isn't the case. My hope is, if she isn't in it, which honestly, I'm 99% sure at this point she's not going to be. I'm still holding out that 1% chance that this is all a hoax and everything. My hope is that, I don't hope that this bombs at the box office. I don't hope for that at all. But I know with a good amount of certainty that this movie isn't going to do as well. I know it isn't, because people who love Dewey, they're probably going to see it still at some point. People who loved Sidney, like people who loved the original franchise, like the original trilogy and maybe even 4, I think they're going to be hesitant to see it. They might just, they're still going to watch it, but it might be something where they see, they pull a Randy in part 2 and I'll wait for it to come out on video. That might be what people do, or wait for streaming, because I know for certain that this movie is going to suffer in the box office because of Sidney not being in it. And my hope is, when that happens, Paramount, Spyglass, whatever studio exec just fucked this up, is going to look at that and be like, okay, obviously we suffered because Sidney Prescott isn't in the movie, and then they'll offer Neve the proper amount of money, and we'll have a good comeback for Sidney in 7. Maybe it'll be like Halloween 4. Everyone loves Halloween 4 because it was the return of Michael Myers. Maybe we'll have that. If they kill her character, if they do some Halloween 3 stuff, or I'm sorry, 4 stuff, and say that, You know, how they killed off Lori in a car crash between movies. If they pull some of that and try to kill off Sydney, I'm walking out of the theater. At that point, you have lost me. You have lost my respect. At the very least you could do is say she's off living her her happy life. You, at that point, you still have the option to bring her back, but it really did. I didn't see who said that there, but they said it felt like Neve was hurt, and I agree. It read like she was hurt, and I do think it was a difficult decision. There's other things you got to take into account, like someone mentioned they offered her $2 million for the role, but like that's not all going to her. You got to think, like, agents, management, they all get paid on top of that. Oh yeah, Ghostface and if they, I don't think they would make her the killer if she's not going to be in the rest of the movie, because I think Mickey is probably the best example of it. Even though he's one of my favorite killers, I do think he's just not in the movie enough. And if they tried to make a Ghostface that was someone that we didn't see the entire movie, I don't think people aren't gonna like that. I'd say almost all people aren't gonna like it, because part of the fun of a Scream movie is the whodunit aspect. And if they don't give you all the clues, or at least some clues, you can't figure out who done it. And one of the things they have to give you is the options. With every movie, they always give you always have who's the kill, the Ghostface killer in your pool of suspects, if you will. And I don't think they would make her the killer, because in order to do that, she would have to be in some part of the movie beforehand to establish her as a red herring. And that's the thing. That would be great. You know what? She would be the ultimate, like, Ghostface for that reason, because no one is going to suspect her. But that's not going to happen. I don't think they're ever going to make it. I don't think she would be a good Ghostface. The story wouldn't make sense. The only good part about it would be that no one would suspect it. But yeah, the fact that the studios have brought it to this point, and it really does, it sours the taste of, sours the taste going into it. And I'm sure everyone's heard by now, but they pushed shooting. Filming was supposed to start on the 6th. They pushed it by 3 days. Okay, Faye, $2 million for 4 days of shooting, and only had the cameo. Like I said, I can't speak to salary, what she should be getting paid, anything like that. But what I can say is that is what I've been saying. They wanted her in the movie. She wants to be in the movie. Whatever it is, financially, that's not the way to get written out of a movie. If you get taken out of a franchise as the face of the franchise because of financial reasons, I don't think that sits right with anyone. And like I said, it's one thing if the movie, it's one thing if the movie originally wasn't supposed to have her in it, or if she wanted to sit out, but it read that, it reads like she was supposed to be in it. She wanted to be in it. They didn't want to give her what she was worth. As to whether or not $2 million's fair, we don't really we can't really understand that, because we're not in that situation. She's the face of the franchise. She's been in literally every movie, and the only other person that can say that at this point is Gail. And we don't know what they're paying her. I imagine it's up there. And $2 million, like I said, she's not getting all of that. 10% to agent, 10% to your manager. I mean, that's 20% gone already, so she's down to 80%. You got to put tax on top of that. Like, yeah, $2 million's a lot of money. It's in no earthly space is $2 million not a lot of money. But that's not all going to her. And I mean, I feel like at this point she knows what she's doing, not taking that amount of money. And I won't speak to that, because like I said, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just commenting on it. Like if they had come back and like she turned down like 10 million, I probably would comment on it, because that's outrageous. But I mean, how much? I haven't even looked. How much of how much was box office for the last movie? How much has it made so far? 2 million. It's probably not a lot compared to that. Like, we know 100% that they can afford to pay her more. We know they can, because it's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. So I said I wasn't going to comment on it, but I clearly am. Once again, this is just a rant that it initially comes back because it all started in my head, because I keep seeing polls. Like I said, YouTubers putting up polls that say 140 million. Okay, yeah, 140 million. If she were to ask for 5, they still made $135 million. 135 million is a good amount of money for that, this type of movie, because like we know the budget, that what they spend on it isn't that much. It's not like a Marvel movie going in where you spend a ton. So I know that they can afford to pay more. And now if she's asking for something that is completely outrageous, whatever, okay, don't put her in there. But I just think that taking her out of the movie for financial reasons, when it's very obvious you wanted her in the movie, is the wrong move. It's gonna suffer. There's no doubt in my mind that the box office is gonna suffer because of it. And maybe it won't suffer that much. Maybe it won't even be noticeable to some people. But I would be willing to bet right now it's not gonna make as much as the last one. And I think Radio Silence, I think they're a great team. As I said before, I don't blame them for any of this. Clearly they want her in it. They wrote a script that included her, even if it was only a cameo. And who knows, maybe she turned it down because she wanted to be in it more than just a cameo. That's possible too. Like, maybe she wanted more money and to be in the movie more. All we know at this point is it sounds like it's financial, and that isn't a good reason to disregard the face of a franchise, in my opinion. I'm still going to see the movie. I think everyone here, we're such fans that we're going to see it. They're going to get my money, and I'm going to try to watch it. The only way I'm walking out of that theater is if they pull some shit and try to make, say Sydney died after the events of 5 in a car crash or something. If they try to say Sydney Prescott is dead without showing her in something, like if you want to kill her off, I would hate it, but that would be more respectful than saying she died off screen between movies. According to Jamie, she had Hardy. Do you mean Hardly? Like she wasn't really in the script, like in the script? I mean, that's... Okay, I'm looking at the comments here, Jackie. By the way, hi everyone. Like I said, I was driving when I started this. I didn't really think anyone would show up. Thank you so much for doing so. It really means a lot to me. I didn't think anyone would show up. I just wanted to record it, and then so it could go to playback and people could watch it. This is like me in my car driving. I needed to pick up a computer part, and just wanted to talk about it. Short cameo scene, but also for supposedly a cliffhanger ending, which sets him up for big for 7, so perhaps worth more than a regular cameo. I wonder what she was asking for. Okay, yeah, that's the thing. Like, and once again, I've said it like twice, 2 or 3 times now, but that's my biggest worry. Like, okay, if you only have her for cameo in 6, but she's coming back for 7, that's fine. Or even if you only had her in a cameo, but it showed her living her life. Like something where she's watching the news about the, whatever, the recent Ghostface attacks, and she just like, or she sees news coming on about it, she just turns it off because that's not her life anymore and she wants to just move on. I would be okay with that. We got her happy ending. I would prefer her be in more movies, but like I said, my biggest worry is that this has set up a scenario where she won't come back, and that's what it read like. Y'all can tell me in the comments, when you read her statement, does it read like she's saying goodbye fully to does it? And I mean, that's a Jackie. If it was like a hearty role, like she was gonna be in it for a pretty good amount, and they only wanted to pay her that much, I completely understand. And it sounds like most of the Hollywood people, most of the actors are fully behind her, and they have more of a, sense of what pay should be, what scale you should be getting. I don't really have a sense of that, but if she was supposed to be in the movie more and they only wanted to pay her that amount, then yeah, I completely understand it. But yeah, like, it just... Here's one thing. The silver lining I will say to this is this is lowering our expectations so much. Like, my expectation for Scream 6 has gone down so far in these last, 3 days. So it's much more likely that I'm going to really enjoy the movie. So yeah, that's the only silver lining I could think of. I'm now expecting so much less from it that 6 is probably going to be better than I initially expected. That's a terrible way, a terrible thing, but a good way to look at it, I guess, with this awful news. Like I said, there's still like a 1% chance that, and I'm definitely going to, everyone keeps mentioning Jamie's video. I am 100% going to watch it. I just haven't had time today. For those of you who don't know, I've got like 2 weeks to completely pack up my apartment and before I go back on the road, because I'm going to Montreal for filming for this. I'm going to go watch them film 6. Or I'm going to go try to find it, I'll say. Like, the big expectation is that it's going to be on McGill campus, right across the street from where the what we expect is the production office. I'm driving up there in like 2 weeks. I'm leaving out on the 16th and I'm driving to Montreal. I'll be there by the 18th, and I'm gonna go see if I can stake out filming and see if I can get some pictures. I've got my long range zoom lens so I can sit somewhere and take pictures. I'm just gonna walk up onto McGill University with a backpack because, well, it's a college campus. I'm just gonna be a big guy walking around with a backpack on. Hopefully no one says anything. Worst they can do is tell me to leave. But I've called, because they actually have an office you can contact. They have an office you can contact at the university specifically for filming. And I've called them and left a couple messages to try to get information, because I was just going to ask them if Blackmore, because that's the what's it called? That's like the title that it's filming under. So, because if you film under Scream, people are going to just know where Scream is filming. But if you film, usually they'll film under a different title, and then once everything's good, they'll officially release it as Scream or whatever. But I know Blackmore is filming. We know it's filming in Montreal. There's the production weekly snippet that came out that showed that Blackmore there's like this Blackmore Limited that rents an office in this office building that is right next to McGill University, which is very famous for filming movies. They've done a lot of movies there. I think one of the most notable ones is like X-Men 3, I believe. I think some of I Am Legend was filmed there. Anyways, so my plan is to drive up there. On the 16th, I'm leaving, driving up there. I'm just going to chill out in that parking lot, see if I can see anyone I recognize, and try to find filming. My hope is to get in the background of some scenes, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll be possible. It might be closed set, something like that. But I looked into it a lot, trying to get more information. Didn't really get too much, other than the fact it's in Montreal. We suspect it's going to be on that college campus, but we don't know for sure. I'm starting at the production office, or the building where the production office is, and then just going to go from there. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'm definitely going to be making videos while I'm up there. But yeah, I saw, Jackie, your comment. Do we know what she made in 5? I don't. I wish I did. Honestly, at this point, like I said, I haven't really looked into the financial aspect of it in terms of amounts. I just disagree fully with her being written out for financial reasons when we know the studio can afford it. We know they can. They're a huge studio. They make a lot of money on these movies. Adding, $1 million, maybe $2 million to a salary for a person who's literally been the face of the franchise shouldn't be that big of a deal, in my opinion. And they can work a story without her. I'm okay with a story without her if it's without her for the right reasons. So, yeah, everyone, that's what I wanted to jump on here and talk about. Like I said, I wasn't expecting anyone to actually show up. It really kind of amazed me that you did. Thank you so much. I love you all. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. I was hoping to just get it out there so it goes to playback for everyone to watch after the fact. If you could give this a thumbs up, it really helps me out. But I'm gonna jump off here and go continue on with my day. Thanks so much for stopping by. I love you all, and I will see you soon on the next video.